Now that we've shown you guys our Shonen collection, it's time that I showed you the prize of my collection. My favorite part of my collection is my Gundam DVDs. And I like these for a number of reasons. One, because they were the very first series that I started collecting. And two, because frankly, I just love Gundam a lot. And the way I have them out on the shelf is kind of interesting. I have them divided in kind of an odd way. And I'm going to just explain that as I go through it. Everything from here to here is actually all the original Universal Century timeline in the order in which the events take place, not the order in which the series were released. And I did this just because whenever I'm watching the series, I kind of like to know what's going on at what time. And everything after that is divided into their alternate universes. But everything about these sets are just awesome. These right here are actually the most recent releases from Bandai Entertainment, and unfortunately, like I stated earlier, since they've been shut down, they are also the last. These sets right here are the original Mobile Suit Gundam, and these are my favorite ones in the entire collection. Obviously, since it's the original series, it's the only time that it's been released in America with the Japanese audio, so it's just a must-have. But these covers right here are just awesome, and they're really, really smart, and they're things that I think fans of the series will appreciate a lot. There's a lot of little things about these covers. Obviously, the first one itself has sort of a white motif going for the Gundam look and everything, but also if you look on the side spine, you can see at the top there's actually a Federation symbol. Nothing really that crazy, nothing that might catch your eye, but when I got the second set, which I literally just picked up yesterday, this one has, of course, the red set, but it's also, look at that cover. Look at all those badass Zakus and everything. But if you look on the spine again, you got the Zeon symbol. Isn't that awesome? You got both opposing sides, and when you put them both next to each other, that's just awesome looking. I think that's just a very smart way of releasing this set. And then after that, you got the next part in the series, Mobile Suit Gundam, the 8th MS Team. This is a Gundam series that's a little more grounded in realism, and you get to see what goes on in the front lines of war. This is a quick OVA series. It's one of my favorite ones, and it's actually coming up pretty quick on the Gundam Retrospective. You guys might want to look out for that. After that, you have Gundam Double O, one that I have covered in my Gundam Retrospective. This is the shortest Gundam OVA series so far, and it's easily one of the most emotional Gundam series that I've ever seen. If you guys are looking for something a little different from your Gundam anime, this is one to check out. Again, another retrospective series that I've covered, Gundam Double O, the Top Gun of the Gundam anime series. This is an OVA series that came out in the early 90s, and it reflects that, definitely. It's sort of that period where it's not quite sure if it's the 80s anymore, it's not quite sure if it's the 90s, and that's why I really love this set. It's sort of a time capsule. But then you have the original sequel to the original Mobile Suit Gundam, and this is Zeta Gundam. And these are some of the most economical box sets that I've ever seen in my entire life. Each of these here basically have about 10 episodes on them, and they're all just really good stuff. Now, the thing with this series is you gotta realize it's from the 80s, so the animation is a little bit dated, but the story is timeless. It's incredible. Then we got here Char's Counterattack, the very first Gundam movie. Again, another one that I've covered in the Gundam Retrospective. This is actually not that great of a movie, in my opinion. The animation, on the other hand, is incredibly superb. It's got some great mobile suit battles. So if you're just looking for something to kind of, you know, please your eyes, check out Char's Counterattack. But this one, oh boy, this is quickly becoming one of my favorite Gundams ever. This is the brand new Gundam Unicorn. The very first Gundam releases on Blu-ray, and these are great. Each episode is about 60 minutes long, so you're basically getting a mini movie. And again, this is just a fantastic series. It sort of mixes the old with the new. You get kind of that old character design mixed with the brand new animation, CG animation mixed in with traditional. This is just a great series. It's an emotional roller coaster, and it's easily one of the most best mecha series I've ever seen. Probably up there, probably my favorite new Gundam series. Just, guys, if you haven't watched this, check it out. It's really good. And keep in mind, this is another release by Bandai Entertainment, but even though they've just been shut down, you'll still be able to get these DVDs from the Japanese retailer, as they still are producing the English dub if you want to watch that. Me, I'm going to stick with the Japanese dub, however. But it all ends in the Universal Century timeline with Gundam F91, another series that I covered in the retrospective. And again, this is probably my least favorite thing in my Gundam collection. It's just kind of a subpar movie. It's got some pretty cool mecha battles in it and everything, but really nothing that special. now that we've gone through all the Universal Century stuff, it's finally time that we looked at some of the alternate universes on Gundam, and that's what's going to follow here. These are series that take place within their own timeline and own universe and have no outcome on anything in the original Universal Century timeline. But they're still really, really good. You got G Gundam right here. This series is on crack. This is basically what happens when you combine Dragon Ball Z with giant robots. You know, this is the type of show I imagine that Ego Raptor watches every morning when he wakes up and eats nails. But anywho, you got Gundam Wing here. This is where it all started. This was the very first anime DVD that I ever purchased. This is back from 2000, I believe, when it first came out, so this is a pretty old DVD right here. But, you know, it all started with Toonami when they decided to show Gundam Wing for the very first time, the very first Gundam anime they ever showed in America. And I was hooked immediately when I saw it. And I eventually found these DVDs on wholesale, and I picked them up, and I never stopped then. That's when the anime collection began, and I just had to keep having more Gundam. Really, really good stuff. You got the movie at the end. This is Endless Waltz. This is actually a movie version, and they had the OVA version of the series. The good thing about this DVD, though, is that you have both versions that you can watch, in English and in Japanese. This is a great conclusion to Gundam Wing. Which now brings us to one of the more controversial series in all of Gundam. Gundam Seed. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and stress it right here. I love the first Gundam Seed anime series. I think it's really well done. I think the story and characters are very good. The animation is nothing to talk about. In fact, I think it's some of the weakest in the entire Gundam series, even more so than the original one. Yes, I am saying that, and that's only because there is a ton of reused animation in this series. But it isn't that bad. Like I said, the story is that enthralling that you just want to keep watching, and there are a few cool moments. But I can't talk about Gundam Seed without talking about its sequel, Gundam Seed Destiny. Now, I love my Gundam collection, and I'm very proud of it. Unfortunately, this is the one part of the collection that I keep here mostly just to have it. And, you know, Gundam Seed Destiny is essentially just a rehash of the original series, and I think it tries to be too much like Zeta Gundam from the original Universal Century timeline. The problem with this series, however, is that the animation is reused entirely too often. The main character you see here, Shin Asuka, is also the most annoying character I have ever seen in just about any series ever. Every single time I see him on screen, I just want to kick him in the balls and break his teeth in. I hate this character. So if you guys are watching my Gundam retrospective, prepare yourself when I get to Gundam Seed Destiny, as I'm going to rip it a new one. So, even though I didn't like Destiny very much, that's all balanced out at the end because you got badass Gundam Double O at the end! This series fucking kicks ass. I don't care who you are if you don't like Gundam. I've showed this series to people who don't even care for the stuff, and they like it. There's just so much great animation, cool characters, intriguing storyline, and it's just awesome. And no reused animation. This came right after Gundam Seed Destiny, so seeing this was definitely a breath of fresh air. And it probably has a lot to do with the fact that each set has much smaller seasons. You see, typically a Gundam anime series like Gundam Seed Destiny is 50 episodes long, and it feels like too big of a friggin' sandwich. The good thing about Gundam Double O is it's condensed a little bit more, and it makes it a little bit easier to swallow. On the upside, you get a cool movie at the end, too. This is Awakening of the Trailblazer, which is one of the first Blu-ray releases in America for Gundam, and this is a great conclusion to the Gundam Double O series, and it also introduces aliens, a concept that really isn't seen ever, really, in the Gundam anime, and it really makes for an intriguing storyline. Also, since it's on Blu-ray, it looks friggin' awesome. It's also got some battles that will literally give you some seizures. We're talking Porygon seizures here. And now we come to the final part of the anime collection, the bottom shelf here, where there's just a lot of miscellaneous shows, but all really good stuff. First one up here is Cowboy Bebop. I don't know, this show kind of sucks. I mean, who likes Cowboy Bebop? Who's ever talked about Cowboy Bebop? I mean, it's not like it's one of the most revolutionary anime series of all time, and it's absolutely perfect in pretty much every single way. So there's really nothing more I can say about Cowboy Bebop other than that more anime needs to be made just like this. I'm talking to you guys, Slice of Life. But after that, we have another friggin' classic series. Evangelion, the Platinum Collection. This is that one that has all of those uncut episodes on it. And if you haven't seen Evangelion yet, it's probably because it's kind of like a giant acid trip with robots thrown into it. This series is just fucking insane. I can't even make sense of it. I still don't even understand the last 2 episodes in the series, and I've watched this series a good over 10 times. But this is just another classic one from Studio Gainax, the guys who brought you Gurren Lagann and everything. And you can see a little bit of the influence in there, particularly in how the mecha are drawn and how they fight. This series is awesome. Check it out, guys, if you want to have your minds blown. You got some sequel series coming up, though. You have the movie, The End of Evangelion. And this movie right here is, again, just another fucking mind trip. I still really don't get what's going on at the end of it. There's a chick who's exploding out of the earth, and that's pretty much what's going on. It's fucking ridiculous. I can't make sense of it. The good thing, though, is even though it doesn't make sense, they decided to start making these brand new movie series known as Evangelion 1.01. This is basically a retelling of the original series in a brand new movie format, and it makes a lot more sense now. The animation is even better than before, and frankly, I think the storytelling is just that much better. But it doesn't really get that much better until you get to this one right here, 2.22. This is the sequel to the first Evangelion movie that I just showed you, and this thing is just unbelievable. Look at this super unassuming cover. This DVD knows it kicks ass. It doesn't need to show you anything to, you know, realize that this stuff is good. But when you take it off, you get a little bit of bubage there, so it's not too bad. But, you know, this is a really ingenious idea, because when you're walking around looking for something to watch, this is gonna catch your eye. It's this big, it's
this big fucking orange.
It's just this big blank orange DVD, and you're like, "What the fuck is this shit?" You're like, "What is this?" Oh shit! There's a fucking giant robot in there. I'm buying this shit. So this is just an incredible movie right here. One of my favorite anime movies. The third one is slated to be released in Japan, hopefully pretty soon. So I can't wait to see when that's gonna happen. And as far as economical sets go, this set right here, Full Metal Panic, I purchased this for $6. That's right, $6. This is a hilarious action anime mecha series that is just really, really fantastic. And like I said, this was $6. $6! And this is based on the manga series and novel series. And it's got a few sequels, but if you guys are really into stuff like Gundam or anything, you need to check this series out. It's more of a realistic take on what mecha can be. And the story itself is actually very, very dark. It looks kind of bubbly on the surface, but you'd be surprised at some of the sick shit that happens in this series. So if you are turned off by the stuff that does happen, there is a comedy sequel, though. This one is Full Metal Panic Famufu. Yes, this is a slice-of-life show in my collection. All that really happens is that Japanese kids are in high school and antics happen. It's as simple as that. But I'm not gonna lie, I actually watch this stuff and I bowl over laughing. This is some really well-written Japanese comedy. There's a lot of times when I don't like it and it doesn't work, but it works really well here, and it has a lot to do with the characters and how they're written. But if you got kind of bored with all of the comedy from that set, you get a little bit more serious stuff from Full Metal Panic, the second raid. This is how you do a friggin' sequel. This was better than the first series in so many different ways. The animation, the characters, just everything worked in this one, and they upped the ante a little bit more. I'm really wondering if they're going to do a third version of this series, because I haven't heard anything yet, but I know that the series is popular enough to warrant it. Another epic mecha release from Bandai Entertainment, which means you're never going to see this again. It's Code Geass. This is the series that mixes Gundam with Death Note. And this is another one of those series that I freaking love, and it's also one of the few series I can actually recall watching the entire thing in a single sitting. I'm not even joking. About 2 years ago, me and my roommates sat down and watched the very first season of Code Geass from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m. That's 26 freaking episodes. Have you ever done that before? That's how good this series is. Everything about this is great. And it has a lot to do with the fact that the main character, Lelouch, is a great strategist, and he's completely and utterly insane. The story itself is incredible. I really can't do it any credit, you know. It has a lot to do with racial diversity and modern things that are going on now, so you need to see this one. It's incredible, damn it. And I'm pissed off because they just started to announce a brand new series and Bandai Entertainment got shut down. So you know what? Somebody needs to pick up the license for this series. And, you know, just Code Geass, it's great. And, of course, the sequel, which gets even crazier. This is a sequel series that really goes above and beyond. I really can't say anything that hasn't been said about this series before. Just look at that cover, everything, the artwork, everything. This is just an incredible series. I mean, it's everything this sequel should have been, and it ended perfectly. Not so often have I seen an anime that ended really well. This one ended perfectly, because most anime series, they tend to just end, look up into the sky, ooh, happy ending. This doesn't necessarily have a happy ending, but it all seems to wrap up perfectly. Oddly enough, I just mentioned Death Note, and right next in the collection is Death Note. This is another one of those series. There's no action pretty much at all within the entire show. It's mostly people just talking, but all of the dialogue is incredible. This is a mystery story and something that keeps you in suspense the entire time. This is a pretty interesting anime series that I've never really seen anything else like it. See, most of the time I usually just see giant robots flying all over the place, or some dude with big hair who's shooting beams all over the place. But when you get a show about Japanese guys just kind of sitting around and talking about a guy who can kill people with a notebook, how can that even be interesting? That's because the writing is on point here. The animation is incredible, and it has a really unique story that no one has ever been able to top or even come close to copying. Death Note is truly an original anime series and is up there with Cowboy Bebop for being something that no other anime can ever copy. The next series is Elfen Lied. We just got off Death Note and Code Geass, which are super heavy things, and we just got to even more crazier shit. Elfen Lied is little girls who rip people apart. Pretty much that's it. But if there's one thing I can say for the series, it's that the artwork is downright incredible, and it has some of the best backgrounds I've ever seen in any anime, period. Just about every single background in this series looks like a friggin' painting that should be hung up in a museum. This series is really interesting and really intense, and if you can make it through the first episode, hell, if you can make it through the first 10 minutes of the first episode, then you got some balls, because this series is just crazy, and warning, easily one of the most violent things I have ever seen, period. So now that you guys have seen a good portion of my action collection and all that heavy stuff, it's time that we took things down a little bit, down to a slice of life kind of level. I know that I've stated many times that I'm not really a big fan of slice of life shows. However, there are some that I think that can do it very, very well, and they can use a concept to make it a little bit more interesting. Case in point, The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. This is a weird slice of life show. It's not your typical one where it's just every day they're in class and they do goofy things. No, there's a little bit more to this. You see, the main character in the series, Haruhi Suzumiya, she might actually be God, which means she has some sort of control over the temporal plane of the Earth and how things work. And things get even weirder when you get aliens, people from the future, robots, ridiculous action, and she's completely oblivious to it the entire time. If you're looking for a series that has some downright incredible writing, great animation, and some really likable characters, check out Haruhi Suzumiya. Really, really good stuff. Oh, and the fan service ain't bad either. But if you just got a few minutes to kill and you just want something to laugh at, check out Azumanga This is Japan's answer to American animation. And the reason I say that is because typical American animation tends to be very short. You look at a typical American cartoon, usually they're separated into two shorts, each one being about 8 to 10 minutes long. That's kind of what they're trying to do here with Azumanga. You see, it's based on a Japanese comic strip, and they sort of treat it the same way. Each episode actually has 4 episodes in each, and they're all very short, and they're all very, very funny. Now, there are a few things here, if there's some Japanese cultural things that may go over your head, but at the end of the day, it's mostly slapstick and hilarity. And I mean, just look at that cover. It's kind of hard to make sense of it. It's all googly and bubbly, and what the fuck is that thing supposed to be? Is it a cat? Who knows? He appears in the series throughout, and they never really make that clear. But this series is just really, really funny. If you're like, I just want to watch something for about 10 minutes, pop an episode in. You can pop them in at any random time. You won't be lost. This is just a funny show. And now we come to the part of the collection that still confuses me to this day. The one that I'm not quite sure why I own. And it's one of the first collections that I actually ever got. And that's Love Hina. That's right. This isn't just a slice of life show. This is a fucking harem show. This is the type of show where there's a guy who's staying in a place with like 10 other girls. And you're like, what the fuck is this doing in your collection? Why are you even watching this? And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that when I was starting to get into anime for the first time back in high school, towards the end I was in an anime club, and this was one of the series that we watched, and for some reason or another, it just really intrigued me. It's got some really well done characters. They're all very believable, even though there is a lot of slapstick. But I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's just this series is just really well done. I don't know. The animation is very, very good. And like I said, the characters are likable. Maybe I just like the show's females. I don't know. But I couldn't just end it with Love Hina stuff. I gotta have a little bit of testosterone stuff laden at the end. So, of course, I got Trigun. You gotta have guns at the end. That's some good shit right there. This is the original Trigun anime series, the first 26 episodes. And this is some good shit right here. This is just another time capsule anime, as I like to call it. I think it truly encapsulates the mid-90s and how everybody was into that cool action and guns and Western shit. It was just really, really unique series that nothing has ever been able to touch again. And again, you got the movie here. This came out just like a year and a half ago. This is Trigun's Badlands Rumble. I've actually did a video on this already in the anime pickup. And this is a sequel to Trigun, the actual original anime series, and I can't believe how it feels like nothing has skipped a beat at all. Even though the animation here is much newer and a little bit cleaner, it pretty much looks like an exact continuation of the Trigun anime. Nothing is missed here. If you loved the original series, check out the movie. It kicks ass.
Holy shit, that's a lot of anime.
You're telling me, dude.